Hi everyone, Sid here again, ready for another shaving rant. I hope you're all doing well. Before I get into today's topic, today's lather will be supplemented by lavender and tea tree oil, so I'm kind of doing a twist on Old Faithful, which as you know is Pro Razo Red plus tea tree oil during the winter months. I hope you enjoyed last video. Today's going to be a bit of an expansion on that, because every now and then I'll upload a video without watching the final product and uploading it to YouTube. And I noticed that, and I felt it as I was recording it too, that the beginning was kind of structured, and then there was this part where I was kind of rambling for a bit, and then I kind of found a thread and latched onto that and managed to finish. So I hope that you appreciated the product and that you could bear with me during the part of the video which could basically be summarized by blah 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 what I just said, blah 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 what I just said. So for today's topic, I'd like to expand on the same topic of calling things by their proper name. And there are two things that really piss me off when let's call it society at large uses these terms. I'm gonna mention both, but I'll mention the one that I'd like to dig into last, because I doubt I'll have much time left over to dig into both. So the first thing I want to mention, and I hope to shoot a video on this eventually, is we don't have a justice system that's failing. We have a legal system that is working perfectly. And it feels, I don't feel too good just throwing that out, but I did, so hey, it's too late now. The other thing which I'm going to dig into a bit is we do not have an education system that's failing. We have a schooling system that is working perfectly. So before I dig into that, I just want to mention that there's probably nothing that I'm going to say in this video that wasn't already said, probably more eloquently, by Brett Veinotte in his School Sucks podcast, and also by John Taylor Gatto, who I guess is one of the main forces that drove me to Brett's show to begin with, and to libertarianism in general. I don't know if I did that, but maybe someday I'll shoot a video explaining my trip to the ideas of liberty. But the thing is, and let me just give you a brief history of the schooling system that we have today in all of the countries in the world that I can think of anyway. So what happened was in I think it's the 1830s. Yeah, the 1830s in Prussia, there was, I think it was the Napoleonic Wars, but I'm not too sure on this. I didn't really, this is another one of these videos that's slapped together at the last second. So I think it was in 1830s Prussia that they were fighting Napoleon, and they had a problem of soldiers running away, abandoning the line of battle, and they basically got pwned by that because, you know, the natural and I would say healthy instinct when you're in a costume and some people are shooting at you who haven't done anything to you personally, is to run away. And so basically there were a lot of soldiers abandoning the line of combat, or whatever the term is in military jargon. And after getting pwned, they said, okay, what can we do to avoid this? So the solution they came up with was to develop the public schooling system. Well, a public schooling system there that basically ended up being exported almost everywhere in the world, where the idea was to produce obedient soldiers. That was the original intention back in those days. I'll be right back. And what happened later was that in the early 1900s, the people more commonly known as the robber barons or the industry moguls of the early 20th century in America, people like Rockefellers and the big tycoons of that time. I'm hesitant to name names because I I didn't even take the time to go to Wikipedia for this one, so I'd rather shy away from names. But basically, they were like touring, looking for education systems or something like that. And when they fell onto the Prussian model, they were like, "Holy shit, this is great! So I want me some of that." And they tweaked it because their concerns were not warfare. Their concerns were having factory workers, basically. So when they imported the Prussian model into the United States, they tweaked it so that instead of having a factory that produces obedient soldiers, you would have a factory that produces obedient assembly line workers, basically. And since the intentions are kind of lined up, and you need a coercive monopoly to do this anyway, because I don't think such a schooling system would exist without a coercive monopoly to pay for it. If I don't think that people would voluntarily choose this if they had other options, is what I'm trying to say. So the industry workers and the industry moguls and the political powerhouses of the time kind of aligned their forces. And the way I see it today is it's tweaked because obviously we don't have many people who work on the assembly lines anymore, but it's tweaked to produce obedient taxpayers, basically. People who understand enough to follow orders and not much else. And that's the thing. And I'm just going to go off into this rant because honestly, I don't feel prepared enough to sound very credible on the history part, but if you do the research yourself, and I'm going to post links to the School Sucks project and John Taylor Gatto's website, and you'll see that if you do your own research, I cover the broad lines pretty accurately, especially the origins. So, I forget what I was saying before I laddered up my mouth, so I'm just going to go into another thread. I consider myself extremely fortunate to have graduated high school because everything that I'm describing is basically grades 1 to finishing high school. It's the part that we're forced to go to. You'll notice that after high school, any continuing education that you oh my god, I fell into that trap. Any continued schooling that you want to go to is voluntary. Although I think that they do a pretty good job of conditioning you to just reflexively go to some college or stuff like that. But I consider myself extremely fortunate to have graduated high school with my desire to learn still intact. And I think it's really sad that that there aren't as many lifelong learners as I'd like to see. Like, just to give you an example, I was listening to podcast that I've been into recently called Radical Personal Finance, and he was the episode I was listening to yesterday. He was talking about some article that he had read on the habits of poor people versus the habits of wealthy people. And something that struck me was the very small amount of poor people who listen to audios and podcasts and things like that in their spare time. To me, the idea of because I drive to work, and even if I didn't, I'll get back to both actually. So when I commuted to work, I would never read the newspaper. I would read a book. And when I'm in my car driving to work, I listen to podcasts. I haven't used my phone or MP3 player or whatever to listen to music in a long time. Well, actually, it wasn't that long ago, but the reason that I used it to listen to music is I was doing some mundane task and I didn't have my laptop with me, and I had music on my phone, so I figured I might as well listen to that. And this actually ties into what I was going to say, is that I knew other people would be able to hear what I was playing, which is the thing. I mean, it boggles me, the idea of, by the way, I'm going back to Bubanam, the idea of sitting in my car and listening to the radio is mind-blowing to me. I mean, if you're there, and I consider the decision I made many years ago to not watch the news and not read the newspaper, I considered one of the most powerful decisions I've ever made, and I'm very grateful to that. But I consider the what most people call the mainstream media to be like this continuing reinforcement wing of the public schooling system, because when you're in school, you like, let's say history and politics and things like that, not the natural sciences, but a lot of the stuff you learn in school is basically about how the people who are in the higher rungs of the power pyramid, they basically run the show. And I think that the mainstream media, both left wing and right wing, when they're focusing on what some bureaucrat said in some press release or something, or some press conference, the message is the same. I mean, the outcome of your life depends on some stranger you've never met, either like in your adult life through the mainstream media, where you see how this head of this state-run institution said this, and therefore it's going to affect you this way, versus in let's say high school history, where you say this dead king signed this treaty after this war. I mean, it's all a bunch of talk about how a bunch of dead people, well, in the context of history lessons, they're dead, but it's all talk about how a bunch of people that you've never met made these decisions, and now your life is just some natural deterministic outcome from these decisions that were made that have nothing to do with you. So I think that by listening to the news and things like that, it reinforces that message. I mean, I had an appointment with the eye doctor earlier, and it's funny how like they have a TV there that runs the news with sound. And I made a point to turn my back to the TV and listen to a podcast, and I had to leave an earpiece out because I didn't want to miss my name being called. And even me, my attention would be grabbed by some soundbite that was uttered, and I turn around to watch the TV screen, and it would just be a bunch of people talking about stuff that have nothing to do with me, as if it does. And I think that that's the continuing message of public schooling, which as Brett Veinotte would summarize, are reflexive obedience, putting yourself into manageable, predictable social groups, and apathy. So I think that that summarizes schooling, and that is not what an education is. Maybe I'll go more into what an education is in some video, but the message is that the schooling system we have now works exactly as it was designed to work in the 1830s by the Prussians, who had just got pwned by Napoleon and wanted to make sure that didn't happen again. So that'll be it for today. Thank you very much for watching this video. You can please feel free to leave comments under this. You can like and share. That would help me out a lot. And you can please subscribe to me on YouTube and on Twitter. I am at SidrockMTL. And by the time this video is published, I might have had my Tumblr account set up. So I'll be posting on Tumblr soon, if I'm not posting this one on Tumblr. So thank you very much for watching. I will see you in the next video. You take care.